Hey guys, Chris and Angela again. So today we're gonna share another weapon of war with you guys, and this one is huge. This one is on emotion. This is something that can get uncomfortable talking about. Definitely an area that I had to grow in. As a man, there's that myth that men don't cry, and there's that myth that um, really a lot of people how they look at men externally is that the only emotion that they ever display is anger. Men don't get hurt, all of these other things. I share this because as a child, I had to grow up um, into my adult life. And one thing that I realized I was missing is my ability to identify what I was feeling. The problem with that is when you get married and when you talk about having a family, it can create some conflict. It can create some contention. So as a child, I was always that little kid that was angry, or I was quick tempered. Um, the emotion that I was identified to have is he's just mad. Hey, leave him alone for a second. He just he has a quick temper. He's just upset right now. That's how people knew me within my family, and I kind of began to live up to that in a sense. And this was the thing that as I became an adult and as I began to grow and change, and I started growing in God, and God began to open my eyes to the situation, and had a chance to really sit under some teachings that were very instrumental, really in helping me grow in that area. I would say reflecting back and realizing why was I like that as a child. And here's one thing that I found out is that we experience so many different emotions, but our vocabulary form is so limited. We know happy, sad, mad, but there are hundreds of words that really can describe the hundreds of emotions that you really feel. For instance, when Angela and I got married, if she said something that offended me and it hurt me, then guess what? The only emotion that I really knew how to communicate or display was angry. She said something that made me mad. Guess what? So I'm angry now. So I would leave, and go work out, whatever. But the whole thing is, it would bring disunity within the marriage because I didn't have the maturity, the one to identify what I was feeling, but number two to say, hey, Angela, what you said earlier, it really hurt me. I really felt offended by what you said. I didn't have the words to communicate that no more, because the big thing, I didn't realize what I was feeling. So it's so huge that you learn how to identify your emotions because you and only you have the ability to control your weather. Nobody has the ability to control how you feel. Now you can say they do. You can say, "Oh, he made me mad. She made me mad. That's why I did that." Well, that's not truthful. You did it because you decided to do it. You did it because you weren't aware that you were feeling that way. So that was the only thing you know how to do because you really hadn't matured and grown in the area. Unfortunately, a lot, we grow from a child to an adult physically, but we don't necessarily grow from a child to an adult emotionally. And that's the thing that we have to grow in, learning how to mature ourselves.
And for women, we tend to blame our emotions on a bunch of different things. We have a bunch of different excuses to why we're emotional. I'm emotional because I'm a woman. That's just how we are. Or it's my time of the month. Okay, ladies, we have to stop using these as excuses. We have to learn how to identify our emotions and deal with them and be honest. And so it takes a lot of humility sometimes and some vulnerability with anybody that you decide to share your emotions with. But when you do it, it unlocks so much for you because you're no longer, and this is something that I didn't want to share how I felt. So he never knew how I felt, or anybody else never knew how I felt, that I was feeling whatever emotion and I was carrying it around and I was angry from it. But that other person had no idea why I was angry. And so learning how to share how you feel, and it sets you free in so many ways. You're liberated because you're not carrying this heavy burden of feeling some type of way. And then, like Chris said, sharing those emotions, identifying what they are, because how are you going to share something? How are you going to grow if you never identify what those emotions are? And here's another important thing. This is why us developing emotional intelligence is a book, great book. The reason that we wanted to develop our emotional intelligence is because we have a child, And if we never identify how we're feeling and we never identify our emotions, how can we teach her to identify what she's feeling? And so becoming a parent will also push you to do some things and grow in some areas, because if you don't, then that keeps just trickling down from generation to generation of a family line of people who don't talk about emotions because they're afraid to and don't know how to identify what they're feeling. And we want to break that cycle right now, starting with us.
Absolutely. So hopefully you guys can grab hold of something that we shared and take the long, hard journey of changing where you are emotionally.
Bye.